The national champion is clad in big orange.
The pitch. Swing and a miss. That's the ball game. The national champion is clad in big orange.
At Summit and Destiny have met 7 times before. Tonight is number 8.
Tennessee Volunteers have wrapped up an SEC outright regular season title. Connect with
the SEC runs through Rocky Top. Tennessee wins the SEC regular season crown for the 2nd consecutive season.
the 1-0. Indiana, right center field. Cross on the move. Walk it there. Tennessee walks it off. It's a mismatch. Deep three. Come on now. Man, don't connect. Rocky Draghi this time. Indeed. New hand jam. Down the middle. Got it. The fly is high and again. And he's going to take it. Touchdown, Tennessee.
Hey, how much fun is this?
Man, Rocky Top, this is college football at its absolute best.
This is college athletics at its absolute best, man. Welcome in to another episode of the Fanatics Show. I am Michael, my co-host Skylar. Skylar, man, how we doing tonight?
Dude, we are doing fantastic. It is yet another week closer to what we all have been looking forward to for so long. 16 days away. Peyton Manning days away to football time in Tennessee. But as you know, man, week 0 is really just right around the corner, just over a week away. So, I mean, we'll get football here sooner than later. And obviously, NFL preseason started. So the itch has honestly never been itchier, if you want to say it that way. But, man, it's a good night to talk some ball, Michael. How are we doing?
Man, we're doing fantastic. You know, I told you about how excited I was coming on here tonight, and I was so excited that I misclicked and started playing our outro video.
I was wondering what the heck happened. I was like, what? That's not right. But I was
Yeah,
cool.
you
I
know,
was rolling with it.
Yeah, just the way things roll sometimes. But no, really excited. Got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Some exciting news from Rocky Top. Of course, Skylar in the chat himself.
Yeah, I mean, I had to drop just to let everybody know and prove that we are live after that little bobble there at the beginning. But that's okay. We are live, and that's what we're here for. But before we get into the rundown, I would like to let the folks know, who supports us the most. It's our presenting sponsor. It's Chris Smith Insurance. As a homeowner, Chris Smith was once let down by an insurance company, so he started his own agency where instead of feeling like a big company is fighting against you, you'll know that your agent is fighting for you. All insurance is not equal. Trust the Chris Smith Insurance today. Give him a call at 865-272-3387. And again, guys, Chris is not the agent that's just going to find you the best price. A lot of agents, a lot of brokers can do that. But what sets Chris apart is he's going to find you the best coverage for the best price. And that way, I mean, really, if and when that situation happens, that accident happens, you don't necessarily have to sit there and worry about if you're covered or not. He takes away that fear, gives you the peace of mind to know that you're taken care of. So, Chris, not only do we appreciate the fact that you take care of your folks, but we appreciate that you support us. So thank you so much, Chris, for your continued support. Right off the cuff, if y'all remember last week, was really excited about Monday in particular. I mean, your boy got to go to practice.
Yeah, man.
I mean, we talking about practice. I got to go. Literally, and honestly, real quick, Big Blue Breakdown, we appreciate you being in the chat, and I'll get to your comment here in just a second. But, when we got the ticket, if you want to call it a ticket, to go to practice, it wasn't really a ticket. It was kind of like an exclusive thing, but I ain't going to go the birds and the bees on it. But, I kind of was like, cool. I'm going to get to watch the guys, warm up or stretch or something. No, I got to see some ones versus twos versus threes. I mean, I got to see offense on defense. I got to see obviously individual sessions. It was really cool, and I'll definitely dive into it a little bit deeper here in a little bit. But I was really excited about Monday. Can't wait to tell y'all a little bit about what I seen. But Big Blue Breakdown says thoughts on my Kentucky Wildcats this year. There's a video on it, big dog. Not good.
Yeah,
not good.
I was gonna say Not feeling
And-
too good about.
And honestly, I applaud you for not being afraid to ask about it on this show. I mean, obviously we're Vol fans, but I don't know. Mark Stoops has had very good quarterbacks over the last 3 or 4 years, and he's turned them to no good. I don't know. We'll see. I just don't have high hopes for Kentucky this year on the line, on the defense in general, and then are they actually going to have good quarterback play this year? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it positive from camp. So
here's what I will say about Kentucky. I feel like you're going to have some decent wide receivers this year. You're probably going to have a good running back.
Really?
I think they'll have decent wide receivers, which
lost
they normally
Brown,
do.
yeah, okay. Right on.
But are they going to have a quarterback that can get the ball to them is the thing.
An offensive line that'll protect the quarterback. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you can get much worse than the offensive line that they had with Will Levis a couple years ago in his last year. Offensive line was a little bit better last year for them, but it still wasn't great. So I don't know. Personally, I'm not big on Kentucky this year. I know Skylar's not either. There's a lot of people that aren't big on Kentucky this year. But yeah, if you want to check out our thoughts, go over to the page, and we've got just a video on there of our Kentucky predictions for this season. So he also comes back. He says, I see where you guys are coming from. I do think the O-line will be better, or rely heavy on the run. Appreciate that. He says, love your guys' work. So
what a shout out. I like this guy.
Absolutely. Hey,
A Kentucky fan giving out a compliment on a harsh take. Let's give it up for this guy. This guy's awesome. We appreciate you joining. Jade also in the chat says, hey. She says she's going to talk a little bit of smack tonight. So I just want her to know that I've been taking some lessons in the back of the Walmart for some Taekwondo. So, I mean, if you want to get smacked, you better stop talking smack. No, I'm joking. No. So before you give the rundown, obviously, I want to talk just a little bit more about practice and what I've seen, because I kind of want to go off the cuff on this. But, from what I've seen, which was the last hour and 15 minutes of practice, was some team drills defensively, offensively. Boo's still not running with the ones, in my opinion, defensively. So he's still got some work to do to get there. But, we've seen some reports that Joey Aguilar seems to be pulling ahead in the quarterback battle. I would say I agree in that. And I've been the front runner to say that Joey Aguilar is going to run away with it. And I still believe that. But in the portion of practice that I've seen, Jake Merklinger had the better day. In the portion of practice that I've seen. Ran the offense very well, was on time on throws, had a couple missed throws, threw into some coverages that I would not want him to throw into during game situations. But again, we're talking about practice. I think the coolest thing to realize about practice is, like, a team, as a fan, like, I expect practice to be good, if not perfect. And, like, when you go and watch a practice and you realize that it's not, but, like, it's okay because at the end of the day, it's practice. And to see how Heupel, Banks, Rodney Garner is so fun. Dude, I could go to a practice and only watch Rodney Garner, and I'd be totally satisfied.
I bet that's a once-in-a-lifetime experience watching him.
Well, dude, where they had us standing at practice, like they had like a turfed area that we could stand on. The defensive line individual drills, I could literally dap up the players right in front of me. Like, they were literally within a hand's reach, arm's length reach. And Rodney Garner's just sitting there talking them through, pushing, the two guys on the sled, and just listening to the way he coaches, listen to the way he gets to some players' butt. And then also the way he compliments his players during drills. I mean, that's genuine, and I see why players fall in love with him, even though he sometimes comes across as tough. But I think players need that, and he's the guy for it. Honestly, that's why our defensive line has been so good over the years. But overall, running backs look great. Peyton Lewis, you even seen him in the media a couple of days ago. I mean, he's coming out saying, "Why not us? Why not me?" And I love that comment by him. It shows a lot of confidence in him. But what he was kind of alluding to was like, dude, SEC Player of the Year last year was Dylan Sampson. Why not again? Why not that same position? I mean, obviously a whole new offensive line other than Lance Hurd, but I mean, why not? I mean, I don't know. I loved it. Deshaun Bishop looks like a daggum machine. when I say like his abs look like they're painted on, dude, just a unit. I love the way he's come around as a player, and I cannot wait to see it. But Star Thomas is taking a lot of the talk of the town, as he should. He looked really good. But
So I don't want to cut you off on the running backs, but man, we're talking running backs. Save a little bit for that segment, man.
I'm sorry. I'm just going through position by position and what I'm seeing, bro.
No, I got you, man.
like Miles Kitselman had a drop, ended up being a pick. So I didn't love that. But I mean, overall, I mean, it's just about the mistake. Like, it's so cool to kind of realize that, like, okay, it's practice. It's fine. They're not going to be perfect. And I had to understand that. But I don't know. It was so cool to watch and to realize that, like, I actually got to see a legit practice. I don't know. It was awesome. Idris Farouk.
That's
a baller.
That's my dude. That's
certified baller. He was even taking reps, practicing as a punt returner. I don't think you're gonna see that, but if he does, I ain't worried. Like, honestly, like, dude's a certified baller. It was kind of cool seeing it. Messed me up a little bit on the number changes. You know, the players going through number changes, and we see it on the list, and it's fine. But like, in my mind, like, there's just, I've already been blended like numbers on people, and when they change or make an off-season change, I'm at a practice and I'm just like, God dang it, like, who is that again? You know, so that took a little bit to get used to, but luckily they gave us a roster so we could easily look that up. But Jade here says, which player do you feel is underrated that will be a standout at the end of the year? It's a good question.
I think you just gave my answer.
Idris Farouk.
Yeah,
yeah, I could see that.
I've been singing his praises all off.
A defensive player, defensive back player that, who knows, man. But a player that's underrated that could be a breakout player. Defensive side of the ball, there's not really that many underrated players. Am I wrong?
I would say,
other than
Farouk? I would say probably Farouk is the guy at that on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. I think Colton Hood's a new name, but I don't necessarily know if he's underrated.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know if he's underrated exactly.
But I'm gonna go with Ethan Davis.
I think that's a good name.
I think Ethan Davis, our second string tight end, is a guy that we've seen flashes of, but obviously, like, just not a lot of. I think he takes a massive step forward this year. He looked good in practice. I think he's going to be Joey Aguilar's best friend this year, along with Miles Kitselman. But I'm going to go with Ethan Davis, and I'm going to lock in that answer. And I'm hoping that I'm right on that. You seen him get a touchdown early last year, I think in the first game of the year last year, and then it kind of, I don't know, Holden stays, and Miles Kitselman kind of took over from there. But I do think Ethan Davis steps back into that role, becomes one of the better guys on the team, and then you see him take that leadership role next year and holds it down when Miles Kitselman leaves. I like my answer with Ethan Davis.
You know who the other underrated guy is, and I actually saw a article about this earlier, either yesterday or today, from the defensive side of the ball that I just remembered. Ty Redmond. He's a true freshman defensive back he was underrated coming out of high school. He was like a 3-star athlete, I believe, from Alpharetta, Georgia. Looking like he's getting a lot of reps in practice right now and will probably see time on the field this fall. Do not be surprised if he ends up breaking out, having a very good freshman season. Now, he's got some work ahead of him because of some of the guys that are ahead of him, but do not be surprised if he is also one of those breakout type players. Very underrated right now. Like I said, I don't want to use the term under recruited because obviously in high school, you know, there's only so much that you can do. And, you know, he probably got overlooked by a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Tennessee took a chance on him, and right now he's showing out in fall practice, according to reports that I have heard from inside fall practice.
Heck yeah. Like I said, I only got to see the last hour, about hour and 10 of practice, but overall, just seeing the coaches put in work, seeing the kids put in work, it was pretty cool. Eye-opening experience. Love to do it again at some point if I could have the opportunity to. Hint, hint to the bosses that made it happen. It was awesome. But yeah, that's practice in a nutshell. So before we get going any further, man, you want to give us the rundown and then our segment one sponsor so we can start talking about these running backs?
So, but before we go ahead and give our rundown tonight, segment one, we're going to talk about running backs. Segment two, we're going to look at Texas A&M, and segment three, we're going to look at Texas tonight.
TU?
But before, TU. Before we get into that, I want to talk about some of the biggest news that came out yesterday. Won't talk about it long, just briefly.
Oh yeah, come on now,
Tennessee. Going back to Adidas, starting July 1st of 2026, Tennessee will be, and I quote, what Oregon is to Nike and what Notre Dame is to Under Armour. Basically what that means, Tennessee is going to be the Adidas brand's flagship college program. They're going to be part of the payment to Tennessee. They're going to be paying for NIL for a lot of players, which is going to help Tennessee out in the long run, especially for football, but really for all sports. And women's basketball is going to be a big part of that too, because VFL Candace Parker is, I believe it's the president of the women's side of the Adidas program. I'm probably slightly off on what her title actually is, but I do know she is a big part of the women's side of things when it comes to Adidas. So that would help Tennessee out. Some of the different things that Tennessee is going to be getting going back to Adidas and Big Blue Breakdown. We will get to your comment here on Caleb Perry here in just a minute.
It's an easy answer. Don't worry.
It is. But some of the things Tennessee will be getting. So they will be getting a broader collection of fan gear. Going to be stocking stores year-round with new apparel, marketing campaigns, a line of Vol signature shoes. UT athletes are going to be featured in this. Tennessee's marketing program will also they will play a big part in getting to help design uniforms and apparel, things like this. It's a lot of really neat things that Tennessee is getting from Adidas here. If you want to look up the exact details, I know Knox News, what I'm reading off of right now, has a lot of the details of the contract in there. Obviously, the money was a big reason why Tennessee swapped over to Adidas. The reports that I was seeing, so Nike was paying Tennessee $5.5 million annually. The deal that Tennessee has signed with Adidas will have Adidas paying Tennessee $20.2 million annually.
Up to, and a lot of that goes to
a lot of it goes to NIL.
Some of it's cash, and then some of it's branded, the clothing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's leaps and bounds a better deal. Nike could have had their chance to up it, and they just couldn't touch it. So I don't blame.
I won't say if they couldn't touch it, they wouldn't touch it.
Like I said,
they didn't want to.
I wouldn't trade Danny White for anybody in the country right now. I mean, the deals that he's making with Pilot, with Food City, with now Adidas deal. I mean, it's just he's leaps and bounds ahead of the game right now. The whole team, from the president down, is just they're making moves that honestly, the 3 or 4 previous staffs at Tennessee wouldn't even. I mean, they just wouldn't. What they would have done is just been like, all right, Nike, yeah, sure, we'll just up it for another couple million more or whatever, and just went with the flow. But Danny White wasn't scared to make the change. And let me be honest with you guys. The jerseys aren't going to change dramatically. Like, they're going to be relatively the exact same. I've even been told that the font of the number is going to stay the same.
Really? I figured that it would change slightly just because I thought that was more of a Nike type font. But
no, the Nike doesn't own the font. It's a Tennessee font. That's why the lettering is the way it is, and the numbers are the way it's Tennessee's font.
Hey,
and when
that's great. I love the font.
Yeah, I was going to say Tennessee. I think maybe even owns the font. I don't know. But like the way they've added that similar font so much across campus that I think it'd be really hard to change the font. But but you're still gonna have dark mode jerseys, guys. You're still gonna have your typical. The troopers are gonna be fine. Like, I think people are so fixated on last Adidas. It's almost like they don't realize that, like, hey, they can develop the jersey just like every other jersey's been kind of, continuously getting better or whatever. And so, like, I don't know. Adidas,
And
to me, in my opinion, it's more money for just a logo change. I think the apparel, the clothing, I don't mind Adidas for starters. Like, I don't. Nike's great, but like, when I go to the gym, I wear Adidas shoes. I don't know. I like Adidas. It's fine. But
I don't care as much about brands as I used to. When I was playing ball in middle school and high school, yeah, I wanted to wear Nike stuff because I felt like I won't say I felt like I was cooler wearing Nike, but I felt I don't know exactly. I felt like Nike looked better, in my opinion, growing up, as far
yeah,
as uniforms go, shoes, all that. I wanted to be wearing Nike. Now I could care less about the brand.
I
And
could care. Yeah. I
and
like the fact that the last time we won a natty, guess what we were wearing?
yeah, we were wearing Adidas.
So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going in it positive. Rhonda brought up a great point. Just get the orange right, because that's been another rumor that like Adidas can't get the guys. The orange is going to be right. I can promise you, Tennessee wouldn't make a move like that if they knew they couldn't get the font right or the color right or whatnot. But
And look, like I mentioned, this is in the article right here. Part of this deal with Adidas, UT is going to design its own uniforms in-house. So I think I don't know this
as
for
they've
certain.
been doing anyways, right?
I,
Like
I,
every
I
single
was,
one of the grays has been, a different version has been because of Tennessee, not because of Nike.
Yeah, I
So,
was going to say, don't quote me on this, but I think Tennessee has had, say in their uniforms, as you said, with the gray uniforms, they got their say in it. Obviously, Nike also put in their stuff with it as well, which is what it's going to be with Adidas. But Tennessee is going to get, they're going to design their own uniforms in-house, collaborate with Adidas, bring it to the field, the court, official team stores, all of that stuff. So, I mean, Adidas is really going to be treating Tennessee the right way. And this is a massive deal that Danny White has just signed for Tennessee. And I mean, I
we're another
I could
deal
care less.
closer. We're another deal closer to a third row at Neyland Stadium.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I don't know if it's going to happen. Be cool. But back to Big Blue breakdown real quick. The departure of Caleb Perry, if we have injuries, will seem big. But from what I'm seeing in the practice, we're fine at linebacker. Arion Carter, Jeremiah Thielander, Edwin Spillman, and Ben Bolton are holding it down as a two deep. And let me tell you, 3 of those guys would start absolutely anywhere in the SEC. So not a big deal at all as of right now, because they're all healthy.
I mean, obviously, from a depth standpoint, yes, we would love to have Caleb Perry there because he does.
I don't
have
think he would be a
experience.
starter, though, is what I'm getting at.
I agree. I don't think he would be a starter. He would be a 2 deep, in my opinion.
Yep. Right
And
there with Edwin
his experience coming back would be big as far as the depth standpoint goes. But the talent that we have there at linebacker, as long as they're healthy, I'm not going to miss Caleb Perry all that much. Now, he could have a standout year this year, and we eat our words, but I feel like our linebacker group is going to be just fine this year.
Right on. Jade says, write the name Jaden McClure down from Mountain Pleasant, Tennessee. The kid's a beast and one of the top recruits right now in the state. I think I've been hearing about that guy since he's been in like 7th or 8th grade. I mean, he's just always been a level above his competition. And I can't wait to follow his recruitment here in the mid-state. But if he goes to Memphis or Vanderbilt, I'm not going to talk about it. I'll just be honest. But no, I'm joking. No, the kid needs to keep doing his thing. Keep the main thing. Play great on the field, but he's got to get through school, stay out of trouble, and he'll be great, 100%. So, all right, run down and let's get it going.
Yeah. So, running backs, that's what we're about to talk about. Texas A&M segment 2, Texas in segment 3. Let's get right into segment 1. That is our running backs. But before we do that, our segment 1 sponsor, it is Optimal Asbestos Services. Optimal Asbestos Services offers detailed asbestos inspections and air quality assessments. Whether you're looking to secure your home or workplace, you can trust Optimal Asbestos Services to deliver thorough and reliable solutions. You can contact Jeff Mull at 865-223-3297 for your consultation today, or go on the web at optimalasbestosservices.com. So let me get our graphic pulled up here real quick. So we are going to be talking about the running back room. And Skylar's already mentioned a little bit about
I'm
this,
sorry. I got excited.
this running back room, kind of taken away from our main talking point, but
No,
it's
not.
fine. It's fine. No, so you were at practice. You got to
Yeah.
see these guys in person.
Yeah.
Who would you say right now, based on practice, is going to be the RB1? Because in my personal opinion, and you can correct me if I'm wrong from what you saw, this is literally going to be a three-headed monster. I'm not going to say it's going to be, split down the middle. Each running back gets the same amount of carries each game. But I think you're going to see each one of these three running backs on the field a lot this year. But who do you think gets the RB1 spot?
No, I think that's exactly how it's going to be in game one. Is you're going to look at the box score at the end of the game, and every single running back has 8 carries. Like I do think that's exactly how it's going to be until one person clearly puts themselves a level above in game time situations. But if you're making me choose exactly what, it's Deshaun Bishop. I mean, it's the guy that it needs to be too, in my opinion. That's the guy that was your RB2 last year, and from what I can tell, he's done the work in the offseason to put himself in the position to be RB1 this year. But I just think Peyton Lewis and Star Thomas are too good to not play. So I do think it is going to be a three-headed monster, but I do think the redshirt sophomore out of Knoxville, Tennessee, Deshaun Bishop, will be the leader of the group, at least starting out. And I kind of want that. In my opinion, that's exactly what I want. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's Deshaun Bishop. I think, having that RB2 spot last year, getting to see the field the way that he did, and honestly, his performance on the field whenever he saw
His
time
average,
behind –
sorry,
he averaged 6.7
I was
yards a
say
carry.
his average yards per rush was insane. I mean, the guy just didn't get to play as a lot because you had the offensive player of the year as the RB1. So, I mean, yeah, I think Deshaun Bishop's got all the intangibles that you need. And talking about an underrated guy, could it not be Deshaun Bishop? I feel like he's overlooked more than anybody.
Yeah.
And I think he's just as, I'm not going to say just as good as Dylan Sampson, but I think he's going to get the job done. Let me put it that way.
I agree with you. I think any one of these guys can get the job done, but I want to get your thoughts on this because I'm sure you heard the same thing I did, listen to the Eric Ainge show. So question came in yesterday on the Eric Ainge show that Brian Rice answered. The question was, do you think that the running backs will be better this year than they were last year? And I loved Brian's answer to this. His answer was, running backs? No, they're not going to be better than they were last year. But he said, let me explain my answer. He said, none of these three guys this year are going to be Dylan Sampson, the offensive player of the year. But as a whole, I think the running back group is going to be more successful. You could see them rush for more yards as a three-headed monster. But as far as a running back being better than last year, no, they're not going to outperform what Dylan Sampson did last year.
I think you also got to give credit to the O-line. Not that I'm taking anything away from the running backs, but sorry for the delayed response. I had to report a comment from Facebook. Moto greater than football has got to be the most absurd thing I've ever seen in my life. So I had to report that real quick. But no, I do think that the offensive line could have a lot to do with it. Let's say, because in my opinion, I mean, let's just be real. There's 3 offensive returning starters this year. It is Miles Kitselman, it is Chris Brazzell, and it is Lance Hurd. That's it. Am I missing one? I don't think so. And if I am, I'm messed up on the Florida pod. I'm pretty sure that's it. I'm not counting Mike Matthews because he was not a starter last year. So you have 4 guys on the offensive line that's completely new to our system, going in as a starter for the first time. And will they mesh? I think talent-wise, they could be better. But it all depends on how they communicate, how they pick up on blitzes, how they block together. And if they can get that done, it almost makes it easier on the running back room. So yeah, I think you're spot on. I think whether it's the 3-headed monster, if they go back to like a two back system, that we've seen Josh Heupel really, no matter what he's got in the room, he's kind of flexible enough to, okay, if we got one guy, we're going to ride him. But it was Jalen Wright, Jabari Small in 22 or whatnot. And then it was kind of like Dylan Sampson got into the 3 running back mix there in 24 or 23. And then last year, obviously, it was Dylan Sampson. So I don't know. This year, I'm going into it expecting and the big 3, right? And I don't want to disrespect the other running backs in the room. There's not a ton in the room, but the big 3, Star Thomas and Peyton Lewis. Star Thomas is a transfer from Duke. He is a senior. He's very experienced in the game. I think he picks up. I think his eyes are great. The way he moves, the agility. I think that's another thing, that all 3 of these backs have something different that they can bring to the game. Peyton Lewis is a guy, in my opinion, that is fast, but will freaking run you over too.
Yeah.
I think Star Thomas is very much more of like a not an H back, but maybe like a twitchy back, make you miss type of back, get the ball to him in open space kind of back, right? Whether it's a screen pass or something like that, let him get in space and let him go. But then, in my opinion, Deshaun Bishop's just kind of like a great in between, and I think Deshaun Bishop's going to be one of your better pass protectors, and I think that's going to be key in this room as well.
I think that's what's going to get him the RB1 positions, because I think he's a little bit ahead of the other 2 when it comes to pass protection. I think that Star Thomas has a little bit more experience overall on the field, but when it comes to the pass protection side of things, I think Deshaun Bishop's just a little bit more seasoned overall. Now, I will say, in this day and time, running backs aren't asked to pass protect as much as they used to. So it's kind of a lost art, which is why you see different running backs have to develop some before they can get on the field. That's why it took Dylan Sampson so long to get onto the field behind Jalen Wright and Jabari Small, was because he was the most talented, in my opinion, out of all 3 of those.
Yep.
But he was so far behind the other 2 whenever it came to run blocking that he wasn't able to see the field the way that he probably should have because of his talent. So that's why I do think you're going to see Deshaun Bishop on the field first. Sean says, not much knowledge on Thomas, but Bishop is a dog at running back. Regardless, as long as we can have a balanced offense where we can actually confuse a defense for once, we should be good. So I won't say so much confuse a defense.
Well, just keep them on their toes.
Keep them on their toes, yes.
Josh Heupel's always been good about being somewhat balanced, but I do feel like the last couple of years,
it's been more run heavy.
60-40 run. It's been 60-40 run.
I would even lean more 70-30 at times.
And it very well might. Now, at the end of the season, it might look a little bit more even than that, just because when you get in obvious passing situations or you're losing or whatever, like obviously you're going to end up passing the ball a little bit more. But overall, it would be nice to get this offense rolling. And when you pick up that first down, it's not just an automatic handoff on 1st and 10. We can actually do a play action RPO or whatever and throw the ball, because we need to have that confidence in our quarterbacks and in our offensive line to protect our quarterbacks and our wide receivers, which, again, I think our wide receiver room is probably more talented, but definitely a lot less depth there. But running backs, man, I'm excited about this room. I think the only 2 position groups that I'm worried about this year on this team is both offensively, but it's quarterback and it's wide receivers.
I agree.
Running backs, I feel great about. Our front 7 on both sides of the ball, I could seriously see them being top 5 in the country.
I feel really good lately about the offensive line group from what I've heard coming out of practice.
Yes.
I feel very good about them.
One more little teaser. David Sanders.
He's everything that he's been hyped up to.
Bro. Oh, my goodness. Him and Lance Hurd. If I'm being honest, Lance Hurd's put in some work over the year. Lance Hurd last year, in my opinion, looked a little bit shorter and maybe a little bit thicker. Nah. David Sanders and Lance Hurd in the huddle. Dude, I wish, if I wasn't 5'2", I could perfectly describe this. But when they are in the huddle with other offensive linemen, even Joe Aguilar, because he's not even that tall. George McIntyre, by the way, is very tall. But Lance Hurd and David Sanders in the huddle are like looking down, bro. Like, they are beasts. I'm like, all right, these guys are big and they can move. I have all the confidence in the world in our tackles. As long as they're getting coached up, man, I'm super stoked.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't wasn't the goal for David Sanders this year to put on like 30 pounds of muscle or something like that? Just
Oh, and he
basically put
did.
on 30 pounds.
Oh, and he
But he
did.
put on like 50 pounds, did he not?
I don't know if he put on 50. I think he came into it around 270, and I think he's weighing about 305 right now. I think. Allegedly. I'm going to say allegedly. That way they can't hold it to me. But I think he's put on a good 35, almost 40 pounds, and he's only going to get bigger. But I love the fact of how he's gotten bigger. I mean, the dude almost has abs. I mean, like dude's massive. So I love what I'm seeing on the offensive line. And I think William Satterwhite's going to be the starting center, which in my opinion is the best case scenario. You put
I
Pendleton
agree.
and Wendell Moe at the guards position, and you've got a front five that I honestly am confident in. And I think the quarterbacks and the running backs are too.
And you know somebody I've been hearing a lot of great things about on the offensive line in that two deep?
Sham Umarov. Oh,
Sham Umarov is one, but Jesse Perry,
yeah.
the MTCS guy.
But that's another thing that excites me is like, okay, we know who our starting five is, who's behind them. And I'm hearing great things about the folks behind them too.
Exactly.
So
I'm
I mean, I love it.
excited.
Competition breeds competition. Like, just get better every day. And I do think that this group is doing it. There's a lot of question marks on the offensive side of the ball because, like I said, we've literally only had 3 returning starters. But if Josh, I'm telling you, if Tennessee is a 10-2 team at the end of this year, give Josh Heupel Coach of the Year award. There is absolutely no way he doesn't deserve it. With how when Nico's situation happened, the country literally doesn't care about Tennessee. They are literally predicting 6-6 and 7-5 type seasons because Nico left. They're not realizing that our front sevens on both sides of the ball are still really good, and our defense, in my opinion, is not dropping a bit.
Our defense could easily be top 10 in the country this year.
I agree.
I
Defense is
mean,
what won us games last year. We went 3
Yeah.
first halves last year without scoring a single point, and we
It
still
won all 3. No. We won 2
lost to
of them.
Arkansas.
We lost to Arkansas. Yes.
Beat Florida and Bama after going scoreless in the first half. I mean, come on. I'm really excited about Syracuse. I want to see us beat their breaks in, and then I start getting really excited for Georgia. Honestly,
Yeah. So going back to the running back room, that's what we're talking about.
I thought we talked about it. I'm sorry.
We did. We kind of got off track because we're just so excited about the season getting ready to start. So my expectation this year for the running back room, obviously, I'm gonna agree with what Brian Rice said. You're not gonna have a guy that is gonna be offensive player of the year like Dylan Sampson was last year. You're not gonna have a guy this year that is going to rush for 1,000 yards. But I think that you're gonna have running backs. All 3 running backs, I think, are going to rush for minimum 600 yards.
Yeah. Hot take. I do think your touchdown production goes down in the running back room.
I can agree with that.
Only because I think we're going to have more passing touchdowns.
I agree.
We barely had passing touchdowns last year. So
I mean, how many rushing touchdowns did we have last year? I mean, Dylan Sampson
Dylan
alone
Sampson
had.
This is how absurd it was. Nico had 19 passing touchdowns, I think, last year in total. I think Dylan Sampson had 22 or 23 touchdowns, and maybe even rushing touchdowns. He might have had more in that total. So, yeah.
I'm looking up
Look it up. That way we have
real
actual numbers. 'Cause I'm going straight off the top of my mind right now.
Yeah. So
while you're doing that,
Dylan Sampson last year had 22 rushing touchdowns. As a team, rushing touchdowns, we had 34 rushing touchdowns compared to 21 receiving touchdowns. So I agree with you. I don't think we're going to have 34 rushing touchdowns this year. I don't know if we have 30 this year because I agree with you. I think we're going to have a lot more passing touchdowns overall.
Right on. Dude, I'm so proud of myself for knowing that. Come on.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, dude, off the cuff, bro. All right, Jade comes in and says, I hope we don't always play from behind this year. No kidding, dude, but that's just Tennessee. Last year, I felt like we always started slow, got behind, had to play catch up. 100%. I agree with you. We need to get back to that 22 and 23 team that would literally score 28 points in the first quarter and literally not feel sorry about it. We need to get back to that. Big Blue breakdown. I gave you guys going 8-4, respectable, and that might be too low to you guys, but I do have you beating my Cats. Understandable. Just can't seem to do it. I mean, no disrespect, but I'm really iffy on Joey Aguilar. Does he mean
that's a completely fair point?
Does he mean that he doesn't have us beating his Cats?
No, he's saying that he's got us beating Kentucky because they just can't seem to beat Tennessee.
We just can't
no matter what it is. Yeah. So
I mean, that's us with Florida. I mean, we both predicted us to lose to Florida. Just shocker, by the way, when we do our prediction. But
so as far as that 8-4 record right there, we haven't done our Tennessee predictions. We're gonna do those in 2 weeks. But just kind of very quick breakdown. I can see us losing to Georgia. I can see us losing to Alabama. I can see us losing to Florida. Then that fourth game, that could be
Arkansas, Oklahoma.
I was going to say that could be a letdown game against Mississippi State. It could be Oklahoma at home.
It's not happening to Mississippi State, dude. Get out of here with that. Get out of here with that.
8-4 is not out of the realm of possibility, but that is a disappointing season in my opinion.
But it ain't going to be Mississippi State. It's going to be Arkansas or Oklahoma. So
speaking of Mississippi State, I found out that they're doing a whiteout for the Tennessee game this year. So dark blue uniforms at Mississippi State.
For their 3-9 season, congratulations. I don't care. All right. No. All right. Anything else on the running backs before we get into A&M?
No, man. I'm just super excited about this room this year. I'm ready to see what they can do on the field because, I mean, the hype around all three running backs is real at this point. And, I mean, Peyton Lewis has been described on Twitter as having a goddess, or not a goddess because that's a female, but having a god type of body, like a Greek god type of body on him. And not just the way that he looks, but the way that they're looking at practice on the field. It's got me super excited about what this group can do this year.
Right on. Well, we're going to move forward so we can get on with the show because we spent 42 minutes on the opening segment. We're going to have to wrap it up here. But before we do that, I want to let you guys know who our segment 2 sponsor is, and that's P&L Business Services. We know firsthand that getting your monthly reporting, invoicing, bill pay, taxes, and other essential business services right is critical. That's why at P&L Business Services, we go beyond bookkeeping by providing you with everything you need in your office so you can have your time back and the peace of mind to do what you love most, which is building your business. Behind every successful business is a great bookkeeper. Again, guys, keep focusing on that customer service. Keep that top notch. If you feel like you're struggling, don't give up on the customer service. No, give off your back office needs. Let P&L Business handle the payroll, the consulting, anything that you need to help books stay in the right direction so that you can keep focusing on how you got that business. That's what P&L Business Services is here for. Thank you so much. If you need to get out to them, by the way, just go online at pnlbusinessservices.com. And again, we can't appreciate you guys' support enough for segment 2. And segment 2 is that's South Carolina, my man.
Yeah, I'm swapping it over.
Okay, I was like, do we have another boo-boo? No. Texas A&M here in just a moment. There it is. And I hope we missed up one game so that way we can get more clicks on YouTube. No, I'm joking, big dog. So what do we know about A&M? Returning.
I know that I'm very high on Marcel Reed this year.
Marcel Reed returning. Inconsistent, but can he figure that out?
I think that he will this year.
I feel like the raw receivers are decent. I don't know them by name, but I know they were making highlight reel plays last year.
Well, they did get KC Concepcion from
yes, they did.
NC State. That's a big pickup. That's the guy that that's the guy that we talked about reminding us of Cordell Patterson for Tennessee. Just the kind of athlete that he is. That was a big pickup out of the portal. You got Le'Veon Moss returning at running back this year. Great running back there. I think I'm not going to say that he's going to be the number 1 running back in the SEC, but I think he's going to be a top 3 or 4 running back in the SEC this year, as long as he stays healthy. You got a very talented freshman in Kelshawn Johnson coming out this year. So they've got some dudes on this team.
Solid.
Defense is always solid under Mike Elko. I mean, that's his calling card is defense. So I think that Texas A&M, they're kind of running under the radar this year. They're not. It's like
I think they are, but I think what sets them a little bit. I think they have some tough road games. And I think
I agree with you.
I think that may be, and we all know A&M. A&M back half the schedule tough. B, back half of the schedule being 4 away games out of 6 could be tough, especially when 3 of them are probably going to be pretty hard. At least 3 or 4. I mean, honestly, I can see all 4 of them being kind of tough. Arkansas is probably the least, but I can see at LSU, at Missouri. You have a 3-game stretch with a bye week in between of back-to-back-to-back road games. That's going to be tough for A&M, and I think depending on how they handle that, it could be a great season or it could be another 8-4, 9-3 season where A&M Aggie fans are pretty disappointed, I think, at the end of the year. But I think for Mike Elko, it's still a building year, in my opinion. I mean, Marcel Reed is going to be coming back again next year for sure, unless NIL situations happen. But I think this is, I don't know. Notre Dame is the first big game I think that comes up. But overall, their schedule is tough, but A&M proved to be able to handle it last year. I mean, they were playing Texas last year for a spot in the SEC championship. So who knows? Could they get that done again this year? Michael, do you want to take the first crack at this thing or what?
Yeah, I'll go first with Texas A&M. I do think that Texas A&M, they start off the season with 2 wins going up against UTSA and Utah State. Oops, sorry, wrong one. Utah State starting off 2-0. That Notre Dame game in week 3. That game is at Notre Dame.
Notre Dame does not have a starting quarterback, by the way. Not yet.
They do not at the moment. They do return one of the best running backs in the nation. I cannot off the top of my head think of what his name is. Jeremiah Love. Yeah, Jeremiah Love returning. He was hurt a little bit in the playoffs last year, but still he showed out in the playoffs. Other than that Ohio State game where he was just really too injured to go through with a lot. That game is in South Bend. That's going to make it tough. I think I've got Texas A&M dropping this game against Notre Dame. Got a bye week before they go up against Auburn at home. They do get a win. I did it again.
Stop acting like me.
I know it. I'm the editor on this show, and I keep messing up. So they do get a win against Auburn before they turn around. They beat Mississippi State, starting off the season 4-1 before a game against Florida. I do think if this game was in the swamp, I kind of lean more towards Florida. But with this game being in College Station, I do think that Texas A&M will get a win in this game at Arkansas. I think Texas A&M goes on the road and they take care of business in this game. Give me a win there for Texas A&M. At LSU, you mentioned it. This is the second game in a 3-game road stand for Texas A&M. They do have a bye week coming up after this game. Not the easiest stretch, also not the toughest stretch that they just went through with that Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida, Arkansas. But I do think that game in Death Valley, I do lean to LSU in that one. So give me LSU over Texas A&M for Texas A&M's second loss of the season. Coming off the bye week, though, I think Texas A&M is going to be hot and eager to finish this season off strong. They go on the road to get a win against Missouri. Let me make sure that's what I did. Yes. Win against Missouri. Yeah. South Carolina. This game is in College Station. I am very high on South Carolina this year. But, we did South Carolina last week, and I just don't think at this point that South Carolina can go to College Station to pick up a win. I do think it's going to be a very close, competitive game, but I've got Texas A&M picking up a win against South Carolina. They get a win against Samford before the big game, the battle for Texas in the final game of the season. This is on a Friday night, going to Austin. And I think Texas A&M comes away with a win to end the season on the road. They finish off the season 10-2.
Hey, this might get them in the SEC championship.
I think that it's going to come down to last year
in the SEC.
Last year was supposed to be Texas A&M versus Texas for who's going to go to the SEC title game, but because of Texas A&M dropping a game the week before, I believe. Was that to Arkansas that they dropped a game? They dropped a game that they shouldn't have the week before, and it led to no matter what happened, Texas was going to get into the SEC title game. But I think this year that Texas A&M is going to get it done against Texas. Finish off the season 10-2. So my ceiling and my floor for this team, I'm going to start off with the ceiling. Normally I would go, which is what I've done with every other team. Normally I would go through and I would say, yeah, I think head to head, Texas A&M can beat Notre Dame on the road. They can beat LSU on the road. So yeah, I'm going to go 12-0 right here. I do not see any team in the SEC this year and really in the country going 12-0 this season.
Nope.
So even though I think that they can beat both Notre Dame and LSU, I think that there is a loss somewhere on this schedule regardless, which is why I've got my ceiling for Texas A&M going 11-1 on the season. My floor for this team, I think you still beat Auburn, Mississippi State. I think you can drop the game to Florida, depending on what kind of season Florida is having at this point. I think that you still win on the road to Arkansas. You can drop that game to South Carolina. You can drop that game to Texas. Missouri, with that being a road game, I'll throw that in there as well. So you're looking at, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. You're looking at 6-6 for the absolute floor for this team this year. So I think that they make a bowl game either way. But I think 6-6 is the absolute worst case scenario for Texas A&M on the season. I don't know. I think the worst that they do would be 8-4. So if I'm going to go kind of like the way that you do, as far as, what I think they do in the season, I think 8-4 would be the lowest. But as far as teams that they can lose to, I'll go 6-6 as my floor, 11-1 the ceiling, but 10-2 is what I have Texas A&M going this year in Mike Elko's second year.
I like it. That's a lofty expectations for Mike Elko and for Texas A&M. When's the last time? And this is bad for podcasts because I don't have the answer, but I would love for you to maybe look it up as soon as you get done clearing the board. But when's the last time Texas A&M has won double digits wins in a season? Is it under Johnny Manziel? When's the last time they've won 10 games in a regular season?
In a regular season, it's a great question. Let me look that up.
Yeah, I mean they have, right? There's no way they have.
They have. I was gonna say double-digit wins. They got that in the COVID year, but we only played 10 regular season games that year. I do think they won the bowl game, so they finished off 10-1, but they didn't win. They went 9-1 in the regular season. Let's see.
Okay. All right. While you're looking that up, I'm gonna go ahead and say a dub over UTSA and a dub over Utah State. I don't think that's too out of the ordinary here. At Notre Dame, big time game for both programs, in my opinion. Big swing game for these programs. I am going to give the win to Texas A&M. I think they get it. I think they get it done. And they carry that into their first bye week, and then they host Auburn. And I don't know. I'm afraid that maybe the bye week hurts A&M here, even at home. And I am going to say that they drop the game to Auburn as the first loss of the season with lofty expectation. I think after the Notre Dame win, they'll probably be up in the top 10 too. So, and this will be a big win for Auburn too in their season and kind of help boost up Jackson Arnold and Hugh Freeze. Honestly, he needs the confidence as well. So I think this will be a big win for that program. But then you got Mississippi State. I'm pretty sure that's self-explanatory dub there. And then you got Florida, and you do host Florida. And I don't know. I feel like the SEC is going to be weird. You're going to have teams beating teams that you would think there's no chance that a team gets beat by a team. But like you even seen it last year with Vanderbilt beating Alabama, Arkansas beating Tennessee, etc. LSU beating Ole Miss, like Ole Miss beating Georgia. Like it just there's weird things that can happen, and I think this is one of the weirdest things, other than Auburn maybe. But I think Florida gets the win against A&M. And just real quick, you're probably thinking, oh well, this can't be a great season for A&M, but I think it can still be okay because I do think they go to Arkansas and pick up the win there. Even though it's at Arkansas, it's going to be hard, but I think they can get it done. I think they're going to need to get it done and have that bounce back win. And then At LSU, I'm hearing too much positivity at LSU, so I'm kind of being a little bit more lofty on them than I really want to be. But at the end of the day, I still don't think they're going to get it done. But I think against at least A&M, I think LSU will get the win there. So I'm going to give A&M a loss. But then they go at Missouri. I think they get a big bounce back win. I think they go to South Carolina and get the big bounce back win. They go to Sanford and get a win. And this is where it's kind of like the opposite of traditional A&M teams, right? Where they start hot, kind of end cold. But I've got this A&M team kind of just a steady, consistent season, obviously. But at Texas to end the year, it'll be a big game, but not necessarily in the SEC standings, as they'll be 4-3 going into this game. So they're not really going to be playing for much in the SEC, maybe for an outside chance of probably not. They'll be 9-3 even if they beat Texas. But overall, I don't think it's going to matter. I think they're going to lose to Texas. I think A&M has yet another 8-4 year. And I think that's just who A&M, in my mind, until they have a program changing player again, I think A&M is just an 8-4 program. 9-3, you name it, kind of like in that area. I think that's just who A&M is. Now, obviously, I think their best case scenario with Texas, Notre Dame, LSU, Florida, and South Carolina on the schedule. I think their best case scenario is 9-3. I know that's a low best case, and I get that. But at the end of the day, I just don't see A&M right now with their pieces. I don't see them, especially with their road games. And then you get to come home, but great, at South Carolina and Lenore Sellers. Like, I don't know. I just don't feel like even that's a gimme game. I have them in a win here, but they could easily lose South Carolina. But overall, I think their best case is 9-3. I think they beat Auburn in that best case, but maybe they lose to Notre Dame, but beat Florida and LSU. I don't know. Either way, I see 3 losses, even in their best case. Their worst case gets a little ugly. They could lose to Notre Dame. They could lose to Arkansas. They could lose to Missouri and South Carolina. That's it's a 4-8 season. And I could absolutely see that. So worst case 4-8.
That's definitely a worst case right there.
I mean, but I mean, no, 4-8 is not accurate. Yeah, it is, because they're non-cons against Notre Dame. Because I'm like, they're going to beat Mississippi State. And then they're going to win their non-conference games other than Notre Dame. Yeah. So, yeah, 4-8. I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, maybe I'll go 5-7, give them the win over Auburn. But I don't know. I think worst case, if we're talking true worst case here, they go 4-8 with 1 win in the SEC over Mississippi State. And that's going to look like if Marcel Reed gets hurt against Notre Dame or something, and then it just kind of spirals from there. But overall, I've got A&M going 8-4. I'm not super high on them this year.
Yep. Fair enough, man. So Texas A&M, I'm a little bit higher on them than you are, but I think ultimately both of us can agree that Texas A&M is going to have a decent year this year, which they most of the time do. And to answer your question about when the last time they won 10 regular season games, that was the very first year that they were in the SEC in 2012. They went 11-2 that season.
That was Johnny Manziel.
That was Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, that was Johnny Manziel.
I think you're right. I cannot remember if that was Johnny Manziel or not, but you're probably right on that one. But yeah, that was the first year for Texas A&M in the SEC. That was Kevin Sumlin's first year at head coach. Since that time, Texas A&M record. Now they do not have. I take it back. They do have 1 losing record. Of course, that was Jimbo Fisher's next to last season. Should have been his last season, but since that time in 2012, Texas A&M 9-4, 8-5, 8-5, 8-5, 7-6, 9-4, 8-5, 9-1 in 2020, 8-4, 5-7 in 22, 7-6, 8-5, and then of course this year yet to be determined.
I'm telling you, that's just. I heard a lot of 8-5s. So I don't know. I just feel like that's who Texas A&M is, man. It would be a splash if they could beat Texas at Texas. because I think that could ruin Texas dreams. I mean, I don't know what Texas is going to look like at the end of the year, but who knows? They could be playing spoiler, and then in that case, anything can happen. Who knows? Yeah, me and Sean agree. He said 8-4, and then also says crazy stuff happens in Fayetteville. Wouldn't guarantee a win there. I'm not guaranteeing a win in any SEC game, in my opinion, this year. But it's predictions.
I'm guaranteeing one win. And
Tennessee over Kentucky.
I was gonna say big blue breakdown. If you're still in there, you can close your ears on this one. Yes, Tennessee over Kentucky. It's a guaranteed win.
And I would even go and say, I mean, I hate to guarantee it, but if Bama doesn't beat Vanderbilt this year,
yeah, I don't know.
Kalen DeBoer gone.
Yeah, I don't know if he's got a job next year if he loses to Vanderbilt
So
again.
I might guarantee that one. But if you ask Diego Pavia, I mean, they're chasing a ring, so I mean, you got to respect it.
They going down to K Jewelers getting a ring because they're not getting a natty.
No, K Jeweler. No, dude, he meant a ring pop, dude. He can't afford.
Oh
jewelry.
yeah, I got you.
He plays at Vanderbilt, bro. What do
Well,
you
no, he can afford that. He's got the $1 million NIL deal, but nobody else on Vanderbilt squad gets it because he used all their NIL money.
Eli Stowers deserves it more than he does, in my opinion. Anyway,
I agree.
All right, let's wrap this thing up. Let's get on to the Texas prediction.
Yeah, so our segment 3 sponsor before we get into that, it is Kaizen Painting. Do you want a colorful life? Kaizen is a painting and drywall company that provides residential, commercial, exterior, and interior services. At Kaizen Painting, we understand the importance of a beautifully painted home and properly installed and repaired drywall. We're here to bring your vision to life. We care about providing you with a personalized, efficient, and quality service. If you live in Knoxville and surroundings, contact us for a free estimate at KaizenPainting.com. Color your life the Kaizen way. So, Big Blue Breakdown. Look, you said it yourself that, it just always happens that Kentucky's not able to beat Tennessee. And here's what I'll also say. As long as Mark Stoops is at Kentucky, Tennessee is going to beat Kentucky. And I personally think we both said in our predictions that Mark Stoops is going to get fired after this year.
I mean, no, they just need to find a softball coach named Mark, and then they can have the 3 marks. I would love that, honestly.
Fair enough. Hey, I do have something that I think Big Blue Breakdown is going to agree with us on. Bring back the beer barrel. Bring back the beer barrel for the rivalry.
It's never going to happen, unfortunately, but it should.
Yep.
Woo, I see some big names on this schedule. Texas, your preseason AP number 1 team in the nation, Texas. For the life of me, never understand why it's not just your defending champion, but whatever. And that's me even advocating for a team I don't like, but it's fine because guess what? They get to play them right off the bat. Texas, it's Manning. It's Manning with some aura. What's it like seeing a Manning play football that has a little bit of culture, right? I mean, the kid, he's a baller. He doesn't mind to show some emotion, and it's kind of different from obviously his uncles that played football. That was kind of head down, straightforward, go to work, play ball, no emotion on the field. Maybe a fist bump here and there, but overall, ball is ball. But I feel like Arch has a chip on his shoulder, right? And so how's that new offensive line? I mean, he's got basically, virtually, kind of like Tennessee, a new offensive line in front of him. He does have some great wide receivers around him. Their defense is solid, but like overall, I mean, what are the expectations? Obviously, not. I mean, Heisman. You could say Heisman, but what are the expectations around Arch this year?
I mean, the expectations around him, at least as far as Texas is going to tell you, and as far as college football is going to tell you, it is Heisman Trophy. If you want my opinion on it, I'm not going to buy into the hype until I see him go out there because he's gone out there and he's played in a couple of games in a backup role to Quinn Ewers. Got a couple of starts last year when Ewers went down with an injury, and he's talented. He really is, and I think that he can be at that Heisman type hype. But until I actually see it, I'm not going to buy into it. I think that Texas defense is going to win them a lot of games this year. And I think that Arch is going to do just enough with the talent that he's got around him because this is the most expensive roster in college football this season. And last year, if they weren't the most expensive, they were the second most expensive behind Ohio State, who they're playing in week 1. So, I mean, you've got the talent there, and I think that's definitely going to help. But sitting here today, I'm not going to go out and say that Arch Manning is going to win you every single ball game. It's going to come down to defense is going to win a ball game. Arch Manning is going to do just enough, in my opinion. Now, we might get to, week 6 there, that Oklahoma game, and I've seen him perform against Ohio State. I've seen him go against Florida. I'm not going to say anything about San Jose State, UTEP, and Sam Houston because that's nothing. But if I see him go out and just light the world on fire against Ohio State and against Florida, both on the road before they play against Oklahoma, yeah, I might change my tune a little bit. But right now, until I see him go out and do it, I'm not buying into the hype. And I think that the expectations are going to weigh on him just a little bit.
I agree. So, you want me to take the crack at this one first, or you wanna get it?
Yeah, you go for your prediction first, since I did Texas A&M.
Right on. 0-12. I'm joking. That's Tennessee football 247. I ain't gonna be that harsh. Come on now. Let's see. Ohio State to start the year at Ohio State. This might be harsh, but I think it's a loss, and I think that's a fairly easy pick. Arch Manning's first start as the guy. Obviously, he's made starts, but you're going to the shoe at Ohio State for big noon kickoff? Buddy, if you win that game and you look good winning that game, yeah, go ahead and give you the Heisman right off the bat, because that's exactly what's going to happen. But I don't think that's how it's going to work. I think Ohio State's going to be able to. And let me say this. This game does not define anything, right? It's a top 3 matchup. It's the very first game of the year. And they're going to have
very
time
differing opinions on this game.
I don't care. It's not going to mean anything. Literally, they have the entire schedule to make up for it and be right back where they need to be at the end of the year. So, yeah, it's a loss. I'm sorry. But it's okay. It's okay. San Jose State and UTEP and Sam Houston, all wins. And let me pull up. I just want to make sure I don't mess up my picks, because I did that not too long ago. But Florida is, without a doubt, even though it's at Florida, I mean, they steamrolled Florida last year. And I just, although DJ didn't play, I think they could beat Florida again, in my opinion. Oklahoma. See, this game gets me because I swear I second guess this game all the time. Not because I feel like Oklahoma's a better team than Texas, but just as much as I do, this game has everything to do with the fact that it's the Red River rivalry. It's the showdown in Dallas. It's anything can seriously happen, but I'm going with my gut, and that is Texas is going to win that game. I do feel like that might be really, really good, close game. Like, it's definitely going to be on the monitor at the same time. If they play at the same time as Tennessee that day, that I will be watching that game for sure.
Most of the time, this game is a noon kickoff.
Yep.
And I've actually got Tennessee's schedule on my phone. I do believe that Tennessee has so that's October the 11th, Arkansas. So that's going to be a flex game. So if that one right there is a noon kickoff against Oklahoma, then the Tennessee game will be later in the afternoon.
Right on. With that being said, wins over Kentucky, Mississippi State, don't really need to go in too much in that. I will say, Kentucky, I feel like plays better against the best competition. So if they're sleeping on Kentucky, they might find themselves in the fourth quarter in a one-score game. I still think they win. So, BBB, take that as a compliment, please, because I don't think y'all are going to be in for a good season. But I could see y'all being in the fight in this game in the fourth quarter. But I do think Texas gets the win. And then I think they lock in, beat Mississippi State pretty easily. Vanderbilt, though, this might be for the SEC championship, if I could not be serious. Yeah. Let me check, make sure on the Vanderbilt thing I did not have them winning this one. No, they did not. Okay. That is definitely a win for Texas. At Georgia. Yeah, I think they get revenge. I'll give it to them. Arkansas win and Texas A&M a win. I do think you have 11-1 and undefeated in the SEC Texas Longhorns. Going to the SEC ship for the second year in the row?
Yep. Second year in a row. Go to the SEC championship. So 11-1.
Worst case. Yeah. Worst case. They lose to Georgia. They lose to A&M. And they lose to Oklahoma. I can see a worst case here of 8-4. Or it's just maybe it was good, just not winning the game for you type player. And then best case is 11-1. There's if they beat Ohio State, they lose to Georgia or A&M or something like or Oklahoma. Like I just don't see undefeated in the cards in the schedule. I mean, October, you're literally you're not even you don't play in your stadium once in October. So I don't know. I don't see it. I think it's 11-1 season, 100%.
Yeah, that's fair. So while you're clearing the board, I'm going to completely disagree with you as far as that Ohio State game.
We've disagreed on a lot this year, so it's fine.
You say the Ohio State game in week 1 means nothing.
It means nothing.
I think it means a lot.
Like in the Heisman race, maybe.
No, I think it means a lot when it comes to the playoff race. And when I get to the end of my predictions, I will tell you why.
No. Let me defend it real quick.
Okay.
If they lose to Ohio State and then sweep the SEC,
yes, in that case, it means nothing.
It means nothing. But I guess if you're saying if they lose to Georgia and slip up somewhere else and they're 9-3 with a loss to Ohio State, Georgia, like 3 of the top 10 teams, right? Then it might come into play if they miss the playoff. And I guess I see that. I see a world in that. But like in my prediction alone, they lose to Ohio State, sweep the SEC, go to the ship. And at that point, they're fine. They're still playing for a number 1 seed overall, in my opinion. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it means nothing.
So, in your prediction, that's completely true. It means nothing at that point. Let me get to the end of my prediction.
So you don't even have them going 11-1.
Week 1 against Ohio State. I completely agree with you here. I think that Ohio State, this game being in the shoe.
So we're not completely opposite.
No.
We just have the meaning of the game is completely opposite.
Yes.
I got you. All right, right on. Oh, so they're missing the playoff because of this game. Oh, boy. All right. I love this. Come on, Michael. Come on. I'm sorry to spoil it. I love it.
So week 1 against Ohio State, I do have that as a loss, but that's going to be, if the hype is real behind the 2 quarterbacks, then that's going to be a fantastic showing between Julian Sayin and Arch Manning. And I cannot wait to watch that game. Now, I will say that one is going to be on the same screen or on the opposite screen. Actually, the same screen because I got YouTube TV, so I can watch 4 games at once. It's going to be on the same screen as Tennessee and Syracuse because it's in the same time frame there. Big noon kickoff. But, yeah, I've got a loss to Ohio State there in week 1. Week 2 against San Jose State, that's going to be a win. UTEP, also a win. And then Sam Houston, also a win. Now, if it was flipped and you had those 3 games and then Ohio State as the 4th game, I think I might change my pick at that point. And I think that Texas could beat Ohio State, but that's not the way the schedule falls. They play Ohio State first. So 3-1 start to the season before they travel to Gainesville, play against Florida. They do have a bye week before this game. And I think that helps them immensely in this game to get a win against Florida. You mentioned it, the Red River Shootout against Oklahoma. Anything can happen at any given time, any given year between these 2 teams. But this year, I think that Texas once again gets the better of Oklahoma. Go up against Kentucky on the road. I do also agree with you. I think that Kentucky, most of the time, when they play a very good team, they play up to their competition. I mean, look how many years that they've played competitive with Georgia. They played against Ole Miss last year. They're supposed to be a college football playoff team. Went to the Grove and beat them. Yep. So, yes, I do think that they play up to their competition. But
that's why, to BBB's point, being a level above Mississippi State, I will say yes because Mississippi State can't do that. So, Kentucky can
agree.
Somehow, some way, even as bad as Kentucky is, they can find a way to still put it together on a weekend. They just can't do it every weekend or most weekends. But yes.
But they do get a win against Kentucky. They also get a win on the road against Mississippi State. And this 3-game stretch right here, even though 2 of them are on the road, that's got to be one of the easiest stretches in the SEC, going against Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt, because they're going to get a win against Vanderbilt as well.
Don't let Diego Pavia hear that. All right.
You know what? Let me clip that up and just send it to him.
He's going to be like, Vanderbilt and Georgia's got to be the toughest 2-game stretch in the league.
So, Georgia, November the 15th. This game is at Georgia.
They own Georgia, or Georgia owns Texas.
I don't think that this bye week could come at a better spot for any team in the SEC this year. You get a bye week before traveling to Athens, Georgia to play against Georgia. And let's see who Georgia's got that week. So Georgia does play Mississippi State the week before on the road. Should take care of business there. But I think that with Texas having a bye week and getting some guys healthy, I think that Texas does go on the road to Athens and they get a win in that game. You play against Arkansas at home, get a win there. I've already mentioned on Friday night, November the 28th. I know what you're thinking, but let me just finish off this loss to Texas A&M before I.
It literally doesn't even matter in your prediction, dude. I don't.
So in my prediction, it doesn't. I've got them going 10-2, but I will also say this. I picked Texas to win that game against Georgia. First off, because I think the bye week is perfect. I think that they'll get healthy. I think they can go on the road to beat Georgia. But I'm also giving a spoiler alert for next week when we do Georgia. I've got Georgia going 11-1 with their only loss being to Texas. And I cannot pick any team in the SEC to go undefeated. So if I was to pick Georgia to beat Texas in this game and have Texas going 9-3, which would make that Ohio State game super huge as far as the playoff picture goes, then that's where I'm defending that Ohio State game being a meaningful game. Because if you do drop that game to Georgia, which you absolutely could, and you also dropped a game against Texas A&M or Florida or Oklahoma, and you end up 9-3 with that loss to Ohio State, that means a lot when it comes down to the playoff picture at the end of the season. And that's why I think that game is such a big game. It has so much meaning to it. But to your point as well, if Texas does do as you predicted, and they sweep the entire SEC in the regular season, they win those 3 games against San Jose State, UTEP, and Sam Houston, but still drop that game to Ohio State, it means nothing at all because they're going to be in the playoffs.
Jade says, screw you guys. I have Texas beating Ohio. And that, I mean, look, could absolutely happen. I'm just going to go with my guns here and say I haven't seen Arch play. I don't know. I feel like there's so much on his shoulders.
Yes.
The pressure that rides into this game. I don't know. And if he does it, like I said, he's going to skyrocket to the top of the Heisman boards. And he deserves it at that point. But until then, I'm going to stick with the home team on that. And a lot of times when I see teams that are even, who's playing at home, give me that team. And that's kind of what I'm doing here.
And listen, I'm not going to. So Big Blue Breakdown says, "Head out, guys! Great show. Got to go start my live as well." And I tell you what, Big Blue Breakdown, when we're done here, I'm going to go over and I'm going to join your live. I'm going to watch you and put in some comments there. So appreciate you tuning in tonight. Looking forward to talking.
I'm going to ask your thoughts on Tennessee. No, I'm joking.
No, appreciate you tuning in tonight, though. But so kind of going to your point about Arch Manning there, I am by no means whatsoever comparing Nico, what he did last year, to what I think Arch can do this year. But kind of putting a Tennessee spin on this, we saw what the hype can do to a new quarterback. Because Nico last year had Heisman-type hype. He was, the 6th or 7th favorite to win the Heisman last year, had all this hype coming in, and just to put it bluntly, he busted. Overall last year, he busted. So I'm not saying that Arch is going to do the same thing, but he is an inexperienced quarterback. Not that he's a young quarterback, which he still is. He's a redshirt sophomore quarterback, but he is inexperienced, and anybody that is coming into their first season as the guy with this type of hype, it's a lot, man. And it could weigh on him a little bit that he's got to be that guy. So that's where I'm at with Arch Manning. As far as my ceiling and floor, I'll start with the ceiling. I also think 11-1 is a ceiling because I think that they can beat Ohio State, they can beat Texas A&M, but they're going to lose to somebody on this schedule, whether it be Ohio State in week 1, whether it be Texas A&M the last week of the season, whether it be Georgia, Oklahoma, or I'll throw Florida in there as well, just because of the spot that it's in for both of these teams in the season. So I think 11-1 is the ceiling. As far as my floor, I'm also with you. 8-4 is the floor. I think that you drop Ohio State, you drop Texas A&M, and you drop to Georgia, and then you drop one of Florida or Oklahoma on this schedule. So 8-4 is my floor. 10-2 is my actual prediction. 11-1 the ceiling for Texas this year.
I love it. I love it. And that's going to do it for our preseason predictions of the teams out in the Lone Star State, Texas and Texas A&M. And, honestly, that's a great start for Texas in the SEC. I mean, to go back-to-back seasons, possibly 11-1, go into the SEC championship both seasons. I don't think you could write it better in a better script for Texas going. I mean, is this the year they get it done, though? I mean, that's the big question. And I still have my doubts, but it's because it's Texas. I mean, it's the same with Tennessee. I can't predict Tennessee to win a natty ever because
I can every single year. So I'm a Tennessee fan.
I mean, I can hope and I can hope and pray, but buddy, we be doing that every year.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, as far as a prediction, it's hard to predict it when it just seems so far out of reality. And
I think Jade says it perfectly. There's big hype this year for Texas, but also there's a big letdown spot that can be there.
Could be, but that's exactly what Steve Stark signed up for. And I mean, at the end of the day, you got to give him praise for giving that big hype. I mean, he's the reason why the hype's around the building. And not a lot of people have been able to do that in the past, 10, 15 years. I mean, Texas has been bad. I mean, luckily they benefited from a weak Big 12, so they had some good seasons, but then got clobbered when they made it to the postseason. But I think he really has built a machine out there in Texas, and A&M, I think, is still a step behind quite a bit. So, all right, Michael, you got anything in closing next week?
Next week we do our last two teams other than Tennessee. So kind of giving you guys a rundown on the next 2 weeks, because next week it is week 0. We won't be making any predictions because there's no SEC teams playing. So next week, rundown, we are going to talk about quarterbacks. We are going to talk about Alabama, and we're going to talk about Georgia. Give our predictions there. Then the following week, that's going to be game week. So we're going to be giving our Tennessee predictions. I'm going to talk to, because I'm pretty sure we've got a Syracuse pod in the huddle. And if we do, I'm going to talk and see if we can't get him on with us, get a little Syracuse preview. And then it's time to make some picks, man. And along with that, already mentioned, Raking with Jake is back. We will have our first Raking with Jake segment that week as well. Skylar and I both got to talk to Jake, work out some details. I do think we're going to do kind of like what we did last year, where he is going to come on at the end, maybe do the pick segment with us. But then again, Skylar makes a good point that, that's our time to shine. Jake takes over the show whenever he comes on. So we gotta keep the spotlight on us as much as we can. But
you got to keep it sacred. If we bring him on too much, people are gonna water it down. And it's football season. Like, same thing. Football season's only 4 months of the year, because if it was all year long, it would literally water the product. It would water it down. So we don't want to do that with Jake. We want to keep it sacred, and that way the folks love him when he comes on. That's just my 2 cents. But
yeah, and I can tease this. I know we've been teasing kind of an announcement for the last month, something like that. But next week we should have an official announcement about an exciting thing that we've got coming on.
Oh,
not
24/7. That's all.
Not just the show, but especially the Raking with Jake segments. Skylar did give a little bit of a teaser there. 24/7.
I was saying that's what my business does. We're available 24/7 for you guys all the time if you have water leaks or anything like that. So
yeah, but we should we should, as long as we get everything this week, have an announcement next week. If not, it will be game week. We will have an announcement for everybody. Looking forward to that. But that's kind of the rundown for the next 2 weeks. And man, 16 days. Technically, it's 15 now because it's almost Friday. So,
Yeah, well, you can't say technically and then say almost. Like, I don't think that works. But I would be remiss to say that Jade. By the way, thank you for watching the entirety of the show and giving us some crap in the meantime. But they did say that they'll be watching a lot of football this year. And you can see from the emojis, you got a laughing face, you've got a bone, and then a heartbreak. Just keep my cousin in y'all's prayers as he did break his femur over the week, in a dirt bike accident, which, I don't know. It is a dangerous sport, but the love and the pure enjoyment that you have on a bike, I can't explain. I mean, I broke my back doing that sport. It is dangerous, and we do put ourselves in those vulnerable positions, but he wasn't doing anything out of his means. It was just an accident going into a corner and kind of washed out. And I think he barrel rolled and his leg caught up in a certain way. But overall, I mean, the safety of his gear did an absolute great job. But sure enough, it was very much a clean break to his femur. But he is healing. He's been in and out of surgery over the week. And I think he's chilling at the house. He's probably playing video games, not caring anything about us right now, but that's okay. But if y'all would, Dallin Ray Woodard, y'all go follow him and keep up with his recovery process, and hopefully he'll be back on the bike here soon.
Yeah, prayers up to him. Hope for a speedy recovery there, and hope for
already standing. Now we just gotta walk. It's gonna be a while.
There you go.
Fine. That's right.
And hey, one more thing before we close out, we didn't even mention that Jermod McCoy back on the practice field.
I thought we mentioned it last week. I'm sorry.
We mentioned that he was back doing some individual stuff, but he was actually out doing some team stuff this week as well.
Still not 100%. So don't.
No, still not 100%. Yeah. And I'm still leaning towards that Arkansas game coming out of the bye week.
I agree 100%.
That's going to be whenever he comes back. So
if he comes back sooner, I'll be highly shocked. Just the way this coaching staff handles injuries and stuff like that. I
would be shocked. And honestly, I'd be a little bit concerned that they're trying to rush him back at that point, because I think that we've got some good guys there that can handle that spot until he comes back fully healthy, and Colton Hood and, already mentioned a couple of other guys in the corner position as well. So I think Tennessee has got it handled without him for a few weeks. Obviously, Tennessee is better with him, but they're only better with him if it's a healthy Jermod McCoy. So
I agree.
That's all I've got.
In the meantime, we're going to rely on Idris Farouk and Colton Hood and Ricky Gibson and Boo Carter if he gets his head on straight, and his mom. If we have to talk about that freaking social media drama queen, but it's all right. We're fine. It's good. Still love you, Boo. I'll see you guys next week. Go Bug. Go Big Orange.
Go Big Orange, everybody.